Hello everyone, this is icyabyss here, and today I am talking about a show that's been ended for a few good years now. And yeah, I just finished watching the finale of How I Met Your Mother, and boy does it have a really bad ending, and I am fuming right now. I tend to have a very monotone voice which makes you think that I'm not really mad. I am very mad right now, I assure you. What a complete, utter waste of almost 9 seasons that I had to endure, and to reach that awful ending. That is not to say the entire show was bad, it was really good, but boy, like the ending, phew, like what the hell were they thinking? And if you don't know the ending, the show's been out there for quite some time. If you haven't watched it, it's on you. So yeah, I'm just going to spoil the ending of the show. The entire premise of the show was how Ted, which is our main protagonist, is going to be meeting the love of his life. And he does. Great. And then she dies. Yeah. It just sucks, doesn't it? She's been dead for quite a while, and he's telling the story to his children just so he can get permission from his children so that he can go and start dating Robin. Wow. I am at a loss for words. And you know what? Honestly, if I'm being completely goddamn honest, if this show wanted Ted to end up with Robin, sure, do it. But the way this show does this whole thing is so horrible. I don't know what to say. There were better ways of doing this thing, but ultimately the best way to do this was to not do this and to just have Ted end up with Tracy, which was the love of his life that the entire 9 seasons were building up to. Just end it there. It's cheesy, it's romantic, it's cliche. End it. We're done. This is what the show promised. This is what the show should have delivered. But no, the love of life that Ted had been searching for becomes a footnote to Robin. And Robin is a character that was supposed to end up with Barney. The entire final season was Barney and Robin's wedding. And you spent the entire 20 plus episodes at that wedding. And me as a fan, I was really rooting for Barney and Robin. Like, these two characters are really charming. Barney is a sleazy bastard that's been growing and he wants to turn his life around and be a better person. And Robin seems like a way he could do that. So, Barney and Robin, two characters, two lone wolves together, it made sense. I was rooting for these guys, and you're gonna be like, yeah, you're rooting for this guy, that's why you didn't like the ending. Maybe that's the entire reason, but yeah, I was rooting for this character because it made sense. The whole show was building up to, I can't say the whole show, but yeah, there were definitely parts where the show was building up to the union. Let's just use that word for Robin and Barney. And the entire final season was Barney and Robin getting married, and there were so many pitfalls to that season where it felt like that there might not be a marriage because Barney is having second thoughts and Robin is having second thoughts. There are a million things that can go wrong, that does go wrong, and still the marriage happens, and you're like, okay, that's great. The expected conclusion of this whole arc has been reached. These two characters have been married. What now? The last episode, literally the first 3 minutes of the last episode, they're divorced. The couple that had been promised to be married the entire season, the entire 20 plus episodes, is just divorced in the first 3 minutes of the last episode. just so Ted can have Robin. What a goddamn slap in the face of the fans. You know, I don't claim to be a story writing expert. I'm not. But I can try. So here it goes. In every story, there's supposed to be a progression of character. And you know, the entire show doesn't hide it that Ted has feelings for Robin. And the whole point is for Ted to move on from Robin so that he can end up with the love of his life. And there are so many beautiful episodes where Ted, you know, almost comes close to proposing Robin, and where he does do that, but then they don't end up together because there is some secret will of the universe that doesn't want these characters to end up together, which is the stupid writers of this show. But anyways, there was also this really beautiful episode about Ted letting go of things that he loves the most. So there was this flashback sequence where Ted loved this balloon, and then the balloon ends up, you know, floating away into the sky, and Ted has to let go and accept it. And in the present, we can see that Robin is also floating up into the sky as a metaphor for that balloon. And it was a beautiful episode. But then the ending of this entire show just craps over all of that build-up. I'm just going to speculate because why the hell not? So yeah, I think there might be a couple of lobbies in the show. The one lobby probably wanted Robin and Ted to end up together, and the other one probably wanted Ted to end up with Tracy, the love of his life, that the show promised. But yeah, the lobby for Robin definitely won, because that's what happened in the finale of this show. And you know, the reason why this show doesn't feel like it had a satisfying ending is the character regression. And this is the thing that audience absolutely hates. For instance, if we have Barney's character, and he's a sleazy womanizer kind of a character, and then we see him go on this journey of character where he wants to be a better person, and he reaches that epitome, and then he becomes that better person, and we're rooting for him, we were there with him through the entire journey. But then he regresses and goes back to the womanizer that he was. You think that fans are going to like that? No, no one likes that. That's one example of Barney. The other example would be about Robin and Ted. They also regress back to liking one another, which makes absolutely no sense. You don't do that, you move on. The entire point of the show was to move on, because you might find a better person in the future. The whole point of the show was so that Ted could wait for that special someone that he can spend the rest of his life with. And then the show just craps on it by killing that character off just so Ted can end up back with Robin. So yeah, I do think that this is the reason why everyone hates this ending. I did, watch some videos, and a lot of people hated the ending of this show when it came out. And I watched the ending, and yeah, it is horrible. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't watch this show if you haven't. It's a great show with, great, episodes where you're going to laugh. And there's that one episode that's, a stroke of genius that it doesn't have any business being in a goddamn sitcom, but it is, and it's a work of art. So there are definitely going to be a couple of those episodes. So you should absolutely watch this show if you haven't. Just don't be too excited for the ending. But if you watched this show, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. And as always, it's time for a goodbye.